Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Creekside Chronicles. I guess we would call it a subsidiary of Creekside Maples. And we'll just wait for everyone to join us here. I realize that time has changed, and so I probably can guess that some folks have not set their clocks back or whatever. So they're still thinking that it is 11 o'clock when it's not. Hello, Corrine, Davis Family Life. Good morning, all the way from Jamaica. You're the first in. Yvonne Gilmore, good morning to you. How are you? MB Heritage, how are you guys doing? Glad to have you with us. And MB, I tried to catch your live last night. I think it was last night. Couldn't seem to get it figured out on my end up here. It could have been just my internet or connection or something. But I was watching the replay. Sam, I am. How are you, my friend? We're so glad to see you. We are. Been missing you. Been missing you for sure, Sam. So glad to see you in here this morning. Goss Cutting Casey, how are you? Good morning, Sam. Mike Mark, good morning to you. How you doing all the way from Indiana, Newcastle, Indiana. Glad to have him with us here today. And it's only 9:57, so we're just going to wait for a few more minutes to allow everyone to gather in, and then we'll get going on this. It's a beautiful day here in the Creekside. How are you, Yvonne? Hopefully all is well with you. The fire looks, you like that fire here? See that fire? Isn't that nice? I love this little room right here. It's kind of my little study room, trophy room, whatever, and fireplace and the brick and the... I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can show you something here in this room. Let me see if I can tip this up a bit. These boards up on top, over top of the mantle here. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this better. Right. Let me see. Those boards that are running right up in here over the mantle. Miss Lazy Days Lisa, how are you? Was in the wrong chat again. Yes, I know. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Casey. Those boards, hey Jesse, those boards that I just pointed out actually came from my grandmother's homestead, and I brought them down, pulled the nails out of them, and just dressed them up a little bit, and I put them up over my mantle. I just wanted something that was, sentimental in this room, and so that's where those boards came from. Made it look really, really nice. Let me see, Scott Brum. How are you, Scott? Glad you're with us. Sam's idea for a video, how to have an indoor weenie roast. There you go. Well, I can do that right there. That'll work. Thank you, Casey. I kind of thought it was. I always try to bring things that have sentimental value on board of what we do, and it just makes it feel nice, feel connected. Scott says making cinnamon buns as I listen. All right. I like cinnamon rolls, cinnamon buns. That's good. How's the weather where everyone else is at? Here it's beautiful. It is 0 degrees, a very heavy frost, and but it's a beautiful day, and we're looking forward to it for sure. We're just going to greet everyone this morning, and then after this we've been working on getting our firewood in for the winter, and that's kind of what we're doing. Sam says Tony's nautical themed mantle. I do. I like the nautical theme. I always have. I grew up within 10 minutes of the ocean, so and I always enjoy being on the water and fishing and all those sort of things, Sam. So that's kind of, and I love the history of the old clipper ships, the old sailboat, those sailing ships and stuff. I really love the history that comes with those. Mod Father, yes, I seen that picture of Jesse for Scott's live there. Scott says heavy frost here also. Well, some folks have gotten snow already up in Michigan and Newfoundland. Thank you, Sam. That is an old tree saw. I collect old hand saws. I love history, and so I don't know if you can see the rest of that or not. Let me see if I can just tip this a little more. There we go. So it's a really, really big saw. But yeah, and it's still pretty sharp. I've used it just one time to see how it would work, and so yeah, it still works pretty good. Let's see here. Cost cutting cases love the ocean and ships. Yeah, for sure. You collect painted hand saws. Yeah, I see people that do that a lot, and they look really, really nice. I don't have any painted ones, but I do have quite a few collector's items. I like that stuff. I like ships, but I also like old woodworking, like lumbering industry tools and things like that. Draw knives and different stuff. I enjoy all of that as well. It makes it quite interesting. Maybe we should start doing what's on the mantle instead of what's on the shelf on our Tuesday nights. Hey, we appreciate everyone that's on board with us. We've had some good things happening this week. I see some new folks come on board and subscribe, so that's always good, and trying to just trigger some growth there with the channel. So we'll get things underway here, and it all comes right down to everybody out there helping us by watching the videos. That is so important. And if you don't have time to sit there, just put them on play and watch them. Turn your volume up a little bit and watch them anyway if you could. That helps us out so much to get the views up on the videos, because that's really what it's about, is getting the views up on the video so that the algorithm picks them up. So we appreciate everyone that's doing that to help us out. And it's 10:02, so we're just going to wait till about 5 after before we get started. We're supposed to have some new folks come in and join us today, but again, the time has changed. So I would imagine that there have been some that forgot to set their time back. Anybody do that? And let me see, Costco Keith, my husband does that for you, Brother Tony. I appreciate that. That is David. David is Casey's husband. David's a great guy. And there's Joni, my wife. She's on here saying good morning to everyone. And beautiful, like I said, beautiful day, beautiful fire. Our daughter Michaela's home with us for the weekend. Her and her boyfriend came down from another little spot not too far away. So, but they're outside right now. They're just taking a walk around the property. They don't get to be down here much, so when they do, they love walking the property. Yvonne, I got up 4 this morning to set my clocks. There you go, Yvonne. Good for you. I set mine last night before I went to bed. I figured it would have to be right, and it didn't matter for the last couple of hours before it went back, so I just let it alone, and this morning everything was good. As you see on the screen, we're going to go and we're going to use some scriptures from the book of Numbers 21, 15 to 18. And I want to talk about something that's kind of really been in my mind this week about the power of positivity. And, we all need more positivity in the world right now, and we all need it more in our thoughts, in our minds, that's for sure. So we're going to get to talking about this in just a minute here. And the Kindle Bible Free Bible app, thank you, Jesse, for that. And if you don't have a Bible, most people do, but if you don't, you can download them for free right online. And it's great to have a Bible, it truly is. Hey Troy, Bar and Forge, how you doing, my friend? I know you have church going on real soon, but I always appreciate, Troy, that you just stop in and say hello. It means the world to us, it really does. And you don't. I know you're very busy on Sunday mornings, so the fact that you take the time just to say hello means a lot to us. So we appreciate that, Troy. We really do. David's Family Life is saying hello. And we're not on slow mode this morning for the comments. And we did that for our Tuesday night live stream. And it did help some things out there. So we appreciate everyone putting up with the live stream being in slow mode. But we did it. We had to do it. So it was all good. Cost Cutting Casey, also free app, KJV, King James Version Bible on Android and Apple for sure. All right. We're going to go to the book of Numbers 21. Troy says, right on, God bless, preach Christ at all times and necessary use words. There you go. Amen. What time does your church service start, Troy? Just curious there. I know you work with the youth and all that. Be in our prayers for you guys as well. Numbers 21:15-18. Let's get started on this, and we'll read a few of these scriptures, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. In Numbers 21:15. Now keep in mind, the topic for today is the power of positivity. And it says this, and the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the dwelling of Ar, and lieth upon the border of Moab. Then it says in verse 16, and from thence they went to Beer. Now this is Moses and the Israelite people of Israel after they've come out of bondage from Egypt. So this is some of the journey. So they went from thence, they went to Beer, that is the well whereof the Lord spoke unto Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water. Now that is, if you notice that, it says, I will give them. That's future tense. Then Israel sang this song, spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. Then in verse 18 it says, the princes digged the well, and the people digged it as well, by the direction of the lawgiver, with their staves, and from the wilderness they went to Mattanah. But I want you to notice how this transpires, the transition that happens here. So they're in the desert, they're thirsty, they're out of water. And the Lord directs Moses to lead the people of Israel, gather the people together, he says, and I will give them water. That's a future tense statement. And when he tells them that the Lord will do something in the future for them, they begin to sing, O well, sing ye unto it. And so it's so important to notice that transition, because what's happening here is there's no well being dug yet, okay? They don't have the water in the well yet. Their thirst has not been quenched as of yet. However, just by the promise of water, Israel begins to sing. Israel begins to rejoice. And I looked at this morning, and we'll work through this here a little bit. The thing that I notice is that this is such an example of the power of positive thinking. I want to share a story with you. Many, many, many years ago, when my wife and I, we started a church in a town not very far from here, and we had no water. There was no running water in that building. We needed a well. So we went and we raised some money, some funds to drill a well. And that's Harley barking there. We raised right around $2,000. And so I called the well driller, and the well driller just, Joni, could you please help with that dog? Thank you. The well driller came, and I asked him, I said, can you drill us a well for $2,000? And he told me this. He said, probably not. We had just drilled a well, he said, just up the road a ways from where we were located. And he said we had to go down a real long ways, over 250 feet. And he said it cost well in excess of $35,000, almost $4,000. And I said, well, do you mind if we pray? So before they began to drill the well, we stood there and we just prayed and said, Lord, let there be water before we exhaust $2,000 worth of drilling. So they began to drill, and as they drilled, it was not long at all before they hit water. Matter of fact, they were down just over 50 feet, and water erupted out of that hole that they were drilling. I mean, just so much water. And so anyhow, long story short, that well had so much water in it that they had to put a pipe on it to take the excess water, the runoff, and run it off down into another spot way down behind the church building. It was amazing. the miracle that took place. And so when they sent us the bill came to $1,995 for drilling the well. So I still had enough money to send the check to them and pay the postage. So there you go. That's an example of how positive a prayer can impact what you're doing. And so I thought I'd share that with you this morning. And that well, to this very day, over 25 years later, is still filled with water, and it's still gushing out the top of it through the overflow. And we thank the good Lord for that. So here's a story here in Numbers in 21 that it says that Israel has crossed out of the wilderness, the wanderings, and are headed towards the promised land. They haven't arrived yet, but they're on their way. And that's the way all of us are. We haven't arrived yet, but we're on our way. But I can guarantee you, between here and your promise, you're going to face some adversity. You're going to face some problems. There's going to be some mountains in the way, some enemies that attack you. You just have to settle that, friends, right now in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, in your faith, that no matter what, between you and your promise, there's going to be adversity. And what you do with that adversity is up to you. You can cower and dig a hole and fall away, or you can say, through God or through Christ, all things are possible. You can stand there and have a positive mental attitude in your faith, in your spirit, in your soul. But I can guarantee you, if you've not faced adversity yet, you will. It will happen. And so they're now faced, Israel is, with the grim reality that there are a lot of strong-armed, battle-ready enemies in this new land. Because they're not going to give up their land easy. And I'll tell you right now, the devil isn't going to give up easy. You have got to learn to stand up and fight. And so grapes of Eshcol are galore, the scripture says. There's milk and honey. There's rivers of it. And it sounds good. But there's also roving bands of terrorists that are ready to reduce Israel to the office and position of slaves, or even worse, kill them all. And that has a tendency to weaken even the strongest, most ardent supporters. When people first, begin this journey with the Lord, everyone is so excited and hyped up on it, and it feels so good, and it's wonderful, and it's the transition from one place to another, and from a dead spirit to a living spirit, and all that is great. But there's going to come a time where you're going to have to realize battles are going to come your way. And you can't, at the first sign of struggle, tuck tail and run. You can't. You have to have some intestinal fortitude. That's just a nice way to say guts, to stand up and realize just because I'm facing something doesn't mean I have to quit. Just because something come against me, and I'm not belittling what you may be going through today. I know we have some huge struggles and obstacles right now going on in our homestead, and I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm just believing it's going to. And so stuff happens. It's no easy task. It's one thing to supply one or two people with a drink of water, but now Moses is tasked to supply 1 million plus people with water and food. You talk about empty shelves at Walmart. You talk about high grocery costs. You talk about wondering how you're going to supply when the supply chain is empty. This is so relevant for today, so relevant for where we're at right now. Every day would be a test and trial of getting everyone fed and watered, let alone look after the livestock so that they have feed and water to drink and all those things. And so the challenges of looking after God's people were plentiful. Every time Moses got up, it was a challenge of some sort. They had been out of Egypt for so long, but there were days and times when they would act like they just got out with their mumblings and their grumblings. And around every corner was another problem. The desert life was rife with things and people that could kill them at any given moment. I mean, no one knew what was going to transpire within the next hour, let alone the 24 hours in a day. This was the promised land, but it seemed like promise was filled with such test and trial. And that's the truth of it. It really, truly is. No one said just because you're a Christian, just because you walk with God, that every day the sun's going to shine. The Bible says the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Not every day is going to be easy. Trust me, I know. Not every day. There's going to be days you cry tears until you can't cry them anymore. There's going to be days you feel empty and hurt and alone, and you're going to question God. You're going to be mad at God some days and holler and say, God, I thought you said, let me remind you what you told me in your word, only to find out that you feel like it falls on deaf ears sometimes. That's what Moses was going through. Never knowing, what was around the next turn or over the next hill or the sand dune. Friend or foe, food, famine, he didn't know. And so Israel's come to this place called Beer. And the problem is there's no water here. There's no well. There's no river. There's no stream. It's all dried up. It's used up. It's a dusty old riverbed. Now there was a time and a day that it ran heavy and deep with cold, clear water. But those days were gone when Moses arrived there with Israel. But that's what life does to us sometimes. It really does. Where once a river ran, it's now just a dried up riverbed. It's just a memory of what it used to be. The trace of the river can still be seen, but the cool, cold water is gone. Hints of its old self appear every now and again. The days of its glory, though, are long past. Lines and wrinkles replace youthful features, and our shoulders stoop a little, our backs tire quicker, our feet ache more, burdens seem heavier, stress seems much more, our patience seems to have worn thin, our nerves, our last one, seems to be a little frazzled quicker. And so Israel has arrived to this place, and they've gotten there thirsty. How many have ever been to that place where all you want, just a cold drink of water? That's all you're looking for. And God directs Moses to gather the people, and he said, I will give them water. Well, that's wonderful, but what are you going to do when God says, I will give you something in the future, but you need it today? You see, Israel has arrived to this place. The song leader steps to the megaphone and calls all of Israel to worship and to sing a song of thanksgiving for the great well in this harsh and unforgiving wilderness. And if you've been standing there, you probably would have asked the same question that I asked. What well? There is none. I don't see any water. I don't see a well. And then you'll look at Moses going, I think he's lost it. I think the heat's finally taken its toll on the old fella. Heat stroke for sure, dehydration at the least, but whatever the reason, Moses, there's no well here. There's no water here. And you want us to stand here and say thank you for the well when there is none? Moses, it's easy to turn in and worship when you can see the burning bush. That's not a problem. And I'm sure the Israelites are saying, you've told us the story of the fire of Jehovah 100 times. I'm sure. But what you're asking us to do, Moses, to say thank you when what we need, it's not even within reach. It just seems silly. To sing, to worship, to praise, to say thank you for water in a well that's non-existent, well, that looks ridiculous. That's insane. And when you put it in perspective, what are they really talking about here? And then I clued into it. It's this thing called PMA, positive mental attitude. How many struggles, how many trials do we all face every single week? I don't know about you, but we're on a homestead. It's a working homestead, and this is everything we have. And every week there's never enough money. There's never enough time to get everything done. There's definitely never enough equipment, not on our little homestead anyhow. And we've all been there. You know, not enough food on the shelf. Not enough food on the grocery store shelves. There's not enough gas money. There's not enough fuel. You couldn't afford it anyway. I know here it's like $7.39 a gallon of gas. That's ridiculous. You can't afford that. 2 gallons of gas, $15 for 2 gallons of gas. And so, the garden perhaps didn't produce as much as you thought it was going to this year. So you're worried about, the prospect of what do we do if the food runs out? You banked on some fresh venison, but so far this hunting season you haven't bagged any game. And you're ready. You usually have some of that in the freezer. So you look at it and you wonder, man, what are we going to do? You see, homesteaders, we face adversity every single day. But what separates the men from the boys is simple. A positive mental attitude that says, we will find a way to get this done. But it's not just if you have a homestead. It's you could live in the city. You may live in an apartment. You may live in the basement of your parents' home. But we all have to get to that place. No matter what we're facing, we will find a way to get through this, for sure. Improvise, finding a way, getting it done. You see, that's the difference. And that's what Moses was trying to tell these million Israelites, He was trying to let them know, look, if I can get you thinking positively, if I can get you to understand that the promise is coming, God's going to work. Yes, He will. But in the meantime, let's be thankful that we've come this far. Let's find a way to spread positivity. Now, let's be honest here. Honestly, yes, Seed Faith Homestead, I see you. I know, $7 and basically $7.40 here a gallon. You see, we are surrounded by negativity. You know it, I know it. Every news story. Hey, Dooley's, Michigan, Homestead, how are you? Every news channel, every classroom, every job site and office, every hospital and ER, the cafes, the radios, we are bombarded by negativity. It's the truth. We're bombarded by it, surrounded by it. I don't hardly watch news anymore because I'm tired of always being told how bad it is and all of these things. Moses is surrounded. In Numbers 21, he's surrounded by 1 million people that are thirsty, that don't understand the concept of let's be thankful. 1 million people now want Moses dead and are complaining and saying it was better off if we'd stayed in Egypt. Better being a slave than free. Remember the good old days? And I know we've all said that. Remember the good old days? But we can have good days today. We can have good times again. We can have good times for our future, for our families now. We truly can. That's what we need in all over the country, all over the world, all over North America. We need a strong dose of just positivity. Moses said, we're going to sing like we already have water in the well. It may not be there yet, but it's going to be. It may not be even dug yet, but it's going to be. And God said, if you do what you need to do, I'm going to fill that well with water. He promised them, I won't see you die of thirst. And I'll promise you, every single one of us today, God's not brought us this far to leave us. He's still got the whole world in his hand. He's not negligent of what's going on around the world, the globe today. But we need that strong dose of just positivity. Instead of all the indifference and all the anxiety, instead of the separation and the conflict, what we need is a faith lift, a restoration of positivity, a reform of right emotional balance. That's what we need. How many are faced with a tough situation, a mountain, a problem that seemingly has no antidote today? Think of something you're facing right now. You may be on your way to church in your vehicle with your family, but in your mind you're thinking, oh God, let us hear something from the pastor today, or let us hear something from a song. Let him sing this song and then I'll know you're with us, God, or let this happen. And you're trying to fleece God and looking for explanations that you can't seem to find. You're wanting answers and they won't come. You don't know why that little baby is so sick laying there when you've prayed, God, I've dedicated this child to you. Why are they, you dedicated this or that and all these things. So you're faced with situations. You have so many needs, but just not enough money. I understand that. I've got a truck that needs a transmission. Don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to. We have a homestead, 40 acres that we need, implements and tractors to work with and all that. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I can't look at what we don't have. I have to look at what we do have and be thankful for those things. Repairs that have to be done. I was watching a video of one homestead and a lady her roof was leaking and she needed a repair and had no way to get it done. Didn't know how it was going to happen, but then someone showed up and did it for her. So God has ways of making it work. But you feel so stressed because, let's face it, if you're on a homestead, most of the times you have animals that need you and you have kids that need you. You have a spouse that needs you, in some direction or some amount pulled in every direction. And you're standing there some days and you're just going, I need some time for me and I can't find it. And you find your nerves are right raw and the small little things stress you now when they never used to. And you find yourself sitting there and going, how did I get this exhausted? You got your homestead. You got your YouTube channel and you feel the pressure of, I need to put out for that and keep that going. And then the kids and friends and school and meals and it's harvest time. Winter's coming. You need to get the firewood to stay warm. There's just not enough time in a day. But the only thing you and I can do is stay positive. In so many lives, you feel that you're pulled in every single direction and you fall into the bed at night and you go, man, I'm so exhausted. My mind is so exhausted. Where's the fun in this? I'm not having fun with it anymore. But you have to get to that place where you understand we are multitaskers. We're mothers and fathers. We're sons and daughters. We're farmers. We're friends. We're helpmeets, we're harvesters, we're canners, we're preppers, we're videographers, we're editors. That's what we do. We are self-sufficient, we are reliable, we are able, and we're available for the task. We will get up, we'll put up, we'll stand up, we'll rise up, and we'll get the jobs done. We are homesteaders. We are positive thinkers. Regardless if we have a half acre or 1,000 acres. Regardless if you have no animals or too many animals. Regardless if you're a canner extraordinaire or you've never canned a vegetable in your life. Whether we make it or not will be determined by your attitude in adverse times. For sure. For sure. You can let it overwhelm you. And I can tell you this, I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed to where you have nothing left to give. And that's where you've got to step back and rearrange, prioritize. But before you do anything else, you take the time to be thankful in all things, big and small, for sure. That's what you've got to do. And that's what Moses was telling these Israelites. He was saying, don't worry. God will look after tomorrow. He'll look after today as well. But in the meantime, let's just get our minds right and our spirit right and our heart right, so that when the well does fill with water, we stand there and go, you know what? I thank God for that yesterday when it was empty. So I'm going to thank him today when it's full. Because it's pressed down, shaken together, running over. That's who he is. Amen? Can we sing about the abundance when we have none? We sure can. Can we celebrate the victories while feeling a bit defeated? Yes, we can. Can we roll out every morning ready to meet the day and handle whatever comes? And I'm sure some of you are going, not without my coffee. I understand that. I'm a morning person. I wake up in high gear. My wife doesn't. But that's not what I'm talking about. Just get up and be thankful you can. And as we get older, I don't spring out of bed as fast as I used to, and I put one sock on, then take a break and put the other one on. And it's not about, am I pain-free this morning? It doesn't hurt as bad as it did when I went to bed. But you still get up and face the day. You really do. That's what you do. Can we be, like Moses and celebrate the water in the well before we ever dig the well? Yes, it sounds ridiculous. I'm thanking God for the new transmission in my truck before I ever have it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's going to happen. You see, mental health is so important. Spiritual health is so important. And keeping the right attitude in the face of adversity. I'm reminded of another channel we watch called, and many of you will know it, 9 to 5 to Life. They worked countless days, weeks, months trying to get a well drilled on their property, and they never quit. They kept at it. And they had so many setbacks, but they stayed at it. And it worked. And that's the key. Stay at it. Not always, man, I feel great today, because some days you're not going to. But to all of us who've ever felt like quitting and giving up and overwhelmed and overcome, what do you say we do like Moses did and learn to celebrate even when things don't look so great? Yet will I trust him. I know myself personally, I really have to work at this some days. Because sometimes I just see the overwhelming things that we need fixed, or finances we need to get them fixed. And it's tough. It really is. But somewhere we just have to stand up and take a deep breath, step back for a minute, refocus, get our faith in the right place, and just know, okay, it's going to be all right. Somehow. And I know some days we're not in great moods. Everyone thinks that means we're walking around whistling all the time and high-fiving everybody. The truth of it is, it's not that way. Those days are great. Those days are awesome. But there's still the days that you wake up and you're already feeling exhausted and you don't feel like you even slept, even though you laid in the bed for the last 9 hours. There's still those days where you stand and you look at everything and you wonder, how is that ever going to work out? And you stare at it and you just go, man, what a wall, what a mountain. That's never going to get fixed. That's never going to get done. Why can't I hear my prayers answered or see my prayers answered? Why can't this? Why? Do you know there was never a question asked in the Bible anywhere until Satan caused Adam to question in Genesis? And that was the first place there was ever a question put to God. And we've been questioning God ever since. If the enemy, if the enemy whispers something in our ear, we're so quick to believe the negative. But then we want God to prove himself. How about we just say, all right, God, I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know you're going to do it. There's no water in the well yet, but I know it's going to fill up somewhere. And I know for me personally, I need this positivity because we've had a lot of adversity and we've seen a lot of changes in our life over the last 4 or 5 years. You know, with health issues and all the stuff that we've had to deal with. But I'm not going to sit here and belittle someone else's story because you have had your issues as well and you've had your struggles. But I think all of us need to know, especially in the day and the hour we're living right now, when society is trying to separate us from each other and drive wedges between relationships and create this mentality that someone's better than someone else and all those things. We have to look at it and go, we're all children of the Lord. He created us equal. And I'm going to trust him. I'm going to trust him to do what he has promised that he would do. And that is how I'm going to look at today. And you can too. By positive mental attitude. The power of positivity. So if you're facing something like Moses was facing, a well with no water, and the Lord is saying, if you'll learn to thank me and praise me when there is no water, then I'll make sure you never go thirsty. Maybe you need, some financial stuff solved in your life. He's got it. Maybe it's a health issue. Well, he's the healer. Maybe it's a relationship issue. Maybe there's some relationship issues you're having with spouse or your kids or whatever that you need God to work you through and give you the strength for. He'll do that. Whatever it may be. Maybe you've got some livestock that are sick and you don't have the money to pay the vet. Well, he cares about those things. He really does. So hang in there. That's all we can do. Every day, be thankful. You can get out of bed. You say, well, I can hardly move. You still can take a breath. And that's what's important. So hang in there. Hang in there. Each and every one, God bless you for being here today. And today is a little shorter than normal, but that's okay. We started this, Jesse, by saying it's going to be 30 minutes, so it is. So we're thankful that everybody was here today. I hope this has encouraged somebody. I really felt to talk about this today because this week has been so negative in the news and so negative. There's so many people just worried about how they're going to survive. I understand that. Worried about where their food's going to come from because the store shelves are empty and all of these things that are taking place. They're fighting over vaccines and fighting over this and fighting over that, and the negativity that is from the very upper echelons all the way down. It's just trying to be forced into our life and our thoughts and our concepts. Well, I have great news. There is not one surprise for God. He knows everything. He saw this before it ever happened. And he's brought you this far, and he will continue to take you rest of the way. You are not forgotten. You are not forgotten. He sees you where you are, as you are, and accepts you. He just wants you to turn to him and say, all right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep the faith. I'm going to push through. I may not feel good today, but I'm going to come through this. So each and every one, we ask, just take care. God bless. Thank you, Sam, for the offering today. I appreciate that so much. I don't know how to make that stream across the screen because I'm in this new format, Streamlabs OBS, and so I'm just figuring all this stuff out. But thank you for that, and anyone else that gives and helps, we appreciate it for sure. We really do. Sam says, I wouldn't be here without faith. I lived through 4 different wars And oh, how I prayed every day just to see the sunrise the next day, just so I could get home. We understand that. And that's the way it is sometimes. But you've made it. You've made it. Tim says, when there's a drought, prepare for the rain. Go buy your umbrella because it's going to rain. Every day is a gift for sure. You're welcome, Corrine and David's Family Life. There is a God, Jesse. Yes, there is. And God accepts us, Sam. Number one, be yourself. God bless you all of all walks of life. And I'm so blessed God has given me life daily. I truly love you all. We love you as well. And Seed Faith Homestead, great word of encouragement. Appreciate you sharing the gospel. Love you all. Thank you, Seed Faith. This is some new folks that we've made friends with this week. And we appreciate them coming on board with us for sure. Sam says, I don't need a display to give in faith. Thank you, Sam. We appreciate that. And we know you don't. We just do it to, show respect and encourage everybody. But Frank Fuentes, hey, Frank, how you doing? We're so glad you're here today. And hopefully something we've said has encouraged each and every one. Like I said, I had a friend of mine take his life a couple weeks ago, and it was very sad. He lived all alone and just got so depressed. He thought there was no way through it, no way out. And so that kind of got me thinking about how important it is to be positive. And if you're around somebody, encourage them. If you know someone's having a struggle, be their friend. Be there for them. Encourage them. Reach out to them and help them. And they will appreciate it. I can guarantee you that. Tim says, love you guys. Blessings. We love you too, Tim. David's Family Life. We would all be a lot better off if we stopped fighting God, allow him to take us where we need to go. That is the truth. Because the bottom line is, we're nothing more than backseat drivers in this walk, in this life, because God's the one that's got the wheel. And so sometimes we just need to let him drive, and he'll get us where he wants us to be. May not be the road we want to take, because we always want the interstate sometimes, or the really nice country drive where it's beautiful. But sometimes God takes us on the old potted dirt roads that beat us all to pieces, but he'll still get us there. So you all take care. You all have a great week this week. And we're so thankful for each and every one that has been here. And we are going live Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, as usual. Love to have everybody come over. Come on in. Tell everybody about it. If you're on some other lives or whatever, just let them know, hey, come on over to Creekside and join us. It's real fun. Mike Pierce, every day is a gift from God. What we do with it is our gift to him. Amen. That is so good, Mike. Appreciate those kind words, inspirational words. It sure is. Corrine says, yep, those dirt roads help to toughen our behinds. Stoke your fire. I'm going to, Sam. Let me say, I need a few more pieces of wood on it. Email
us pictures if they have.
And and again, if you for What's on the Shelf on Tuesday nights, if you've got any old antique stuff or just some really unique things that we can use for What's on the Shelf, send them to us, creeksidemaples@gmail.com. That is creeksidemaples@gmail.com. And we will definitely print them off and see if anyone can guess what they are. So you all take care. And again, each and everyone that's come in here this morning, we appreciate you joining us. Leave a comment if you would, if you can. Thumbs up, please. And we will see you. Thank you, Jesse. We'll see you right back here on the channel Tuesday night. God bless. Take care. And we shall see everybody on the